Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to my little channel. Today, I was going to talk about, since today is 9/11/2025. Of course, I was going to get on here and talk about 9/11/2001. If you were here old enough, I would say that day, that Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. That's the day I believe that all of us who was old enough to remember, we knew where we were that day. I was at work, okay, that morning. I was at work, and I remember that day. I think that was one of the days that everybody in America was vulnerable. We didn't know what was going on. We was all spooked out. I remember that my daughter's dad, now he was at the time he was still serving active duty in the U.S. Navy. He called me at work, and he said he thought it was a movie, like the previews of a movie. So, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Now I'm sitting at my desk, at work. Then he was telling me that a plane had hit one of the buildings at the World Trade Center, and I was like, me also being ex-military, I was like, nah, that ain't no accident. So then my mom called me and was like, a plane just hit the World Trade Center in New York. I was like, Mama, that is not an accident. We're under attack. That's a terrorist attack. And that's when that first plane hit. Because a lot of folks kept saying it was an accident. I said, look, those buildings are tall. No doubt. Those World Trade Centers, they were very tall. But not so tall that an airplane would hit it. I was like, that's a terrorist attack. Now, at that time, in 2001, I was the only military person on my floor. And I have where I work at, there's a huge area. I was the only military veteran at that time in that area, on that entire floor where I work at. So when we got up and ran to the TV that was in our lunchroom, we watching this stuff unfold on live TV. We all in this lunchroom, everybody around the TV, and of course I was like, and all the people back there, I said, y'all, that's a terrorist attack. But a lot of people was like, oh my God, what a tragic accident. I said, that is not an accident. That is a terrorist attack. I'm telling y'all what I know from the U.S. military, knowing the stuff I studied, the things that we had to take tests on and things like that. That is a terrorist attack. And then shortly after that, that second plane, that's when people knew, yeah, terrorist attack. I said, I knew that when that first plane had hit. I was like, woo. I mean, and I remember it was, we were all so scared. Some people passed out on my floor. Some folks left the building early because they couldn't take it. Some people, it was a lot. I remember like our building, like kind of, it was eerie that day. I remember one of our head chiefs at the time, he told us if we wanted to like leave, we had to use vacation time. And my question was, when the hell is it a vacation running for your life? So when I walked around that huge building, other offices were closed. It was like my huge office was the only one that was still open, and that was freaky scary. At the time, I was catching the bus back and forth to work. When I got off work that day, on 9/11/2001, when I got off work, I wait for my bus to come. I remember it was so eerily creepy. I swear, y'all, nobody was outside. My bus was late, took forever to get because they had to reroute buses. It was creepy. I just wanted to hurry and get down the way so I could go get my daughter and come home. It was creepy because I know some of the schools was even let out because nobody knew what was going on. We didn't know, like, are those planes going to hit another government building? Nobody knew. So we was all scared out of our freaking brains. Like, what is going on here? Okay? So that's a day that we were all vulnerable. It was on 9/11/2001. Okay? I was at work watching documentaries on it. I watched a lot of documentaries on 9/11. And the stories that people have of some of the spookiest stories that I've heard, oh my God, in my life. The question we had at work was, these poor, innocent victims that woke up that morning just to go to work and to take care of business and just out and about, they only had two choices: burn to death alive or jump. That was the question we was asking each other at work today. What would you have done? And when your mind is, you know, when they said it was like 2,000 degrees of heat, my answer to that was, I would rather let the smoke inhalation just get me and take me out and just let me go ahead and just do what it's going to do. But jumping from 90 stories up, 80 stories and 70 stories up to your death, I remember this a few months after the World Trade Center, I went and got this book that I keep right here in my living room. I got this book right here that shows beautiful, just beautiful. Look at this, how beautiful that those buildings were. Just beautiful pictures of the World Trade Center prior to 9/11. So I keep this book in my living room. You see that? Yeah. I keep this book out here. I look at this book. I keep it out here in my living room so I can see it every day. Yeah. It has the stories on when it was built, its architecture, the floors. It has a picture of Statue of Liberty. I mean, these are beautiful portraits. But this one right here, this, you know, of course, the aftermath, part of the aftermath of 9/11. I'm telling you, boy. Look how beautiful this is. I mean, check that out. How it actually looked inside there. Look at that. It reminds me of some of the hotels that I visit when I go to Las Vegas. Just absolutely, just stunning, you know? Just absolutely stunning. And for it to be reduced to rubble, and watch those planes just go through it. Like, now a coworker of mine, bless her heart, she was there. She was on the bridge. Remember that bridge? Because all the routes were closed in and out of New York that day, with Manhattan that day. She was on the bridge, stuck there for hours because she had to go to the school and get her kids, but everything was closed. So she was just making her way to go get her children. Yeah, and for it to be reduced to this, oh my God, you talking heartbreaking, man. It's beyond heartbreaking. Yeah, beyond heartbreaking. Golly, these pictures are something else. There's something else. And like these close-ups. These close-ups right here. Yeah. That was Tower 1, I believe. And when they showed this coming down, yeah. But I keep this in my living room. And every time I look at this, it reminds me of how vulnerable we are and how fragile our life, that life really, really is. How fragile life is. Yeah. How fragile life really is. So, I get on here to say, God bless all the families affected by 9/11. Because I believe, we wasn't like, a lot of us, of course, we were not like directly affected, but it still happened in our country. And a lot of people lost their lives. Almost 3,000 people lost their lives that day, but more people died after that due to being exposed to cancer from all the debris and the smoke. Now, my daughter's old babysitter, God rest her soul, her son, he was a firefighter here in Ohio. He said he went to the 9/11 site 3 days after 9/11. So that was what, like on the 14th of about the 14th, 15th, something like that, of September of 2001. When he came back, he talked about he had to go have at least 6 months of therapy, because he said what we saw on TV, he said, to see that in person, he said it tore him up for a long time, that he required 6 months of therapy. He said the smell of 9/11 is something you would never forget. The smell of burning flesh, human remains. He said the smell is something that you cannot, he said you just can't forget it. You can't be like, okay, he said you can smell it in your sleep. He says it's a smell you would never, ever forget. Just stepping on, or try not to step on body parts and stuff. I can't imagine that. That was a war zone. That was actually a war zone that day. That was a war zone. There were little children on those planes on their way to Disneyland. Y'all, so it's a lot of stories that came out of 9/11. And some people are still dying due to being affected by breathing in all that toxic fumes from those buildings. Because I remember, if you know who Donna Summer is, she was a 1970s disco star. She sung that Bad Girl, and she sung all the I'm looking for some hot stuff here tonight. All that. If you know Donna Summer, look her up, okay? She passed from cancer because she said she lived she used to live right there. Okay? Right where it happened. And she said she was having breathing problems. And that's how she passed, she said. She did an interview shortly before her death and said that she breathed in all those nasty fumes from 9/11. Yeah, a lot of folks talked about that. I literally was having nightmares for about a month, watching those people fall out those windows, would jump out those windows, and listening to their bodies just hit the ground. I can't imagine that. And my daughter's old babysitter, when she told me, well, like I said, her son told me what the sight was like, it made me want to throw up. I mean, literally, I was like, I told him just, I don't want to hear no more. Because the way he was telling me was absolutely, I would wish this on nobody, on my worst enemy, okay? He said it was that bad. But anyway, God bless all the ones who was affected by it directly, their families, their loved ones, and also the ones who are still going through, this day is a trigger for a lot of people, for sure. It's a trigger. But God rest the souls of those close to 3,000 people that lost their lives that day. Those children would have been mothers and fathers. And the ones that passed that was like in their 20s and 30s would have probably been grandparents right now. Life is so fragile, y'all. It's so fragile. It's so much stuff going on out here nowadays. It's so much stuff. And sadly, we only come together as a country when something like that happens. We don't need another one, y'all. We don't need another tragedy like 9/11 to happen for us to come together as like this, as just one country, as one whole people. All this black this, white that, political riffraff crap, all this stuff, whatever, and all this stuff that happened to that young man shot in the neck yesterday or whatever. This stuff is crazy, y'all. That's why boy. Okay, boy. But anyway, I won't get on here and talk about no fashion and like that today on 9/11. I would save that for tomorrow on Friday, September the 12th. But anyway, I've been on here for almost 15 minutes, y'all. Y'all take care. Lay low. Stay out of the way. Just remember, everybody, teach your kids about this day. Let them watch videos. Let them hear people's stories on what happened this day. That's if you want to. But my daughter at the time was like, she was, 11 years old, so she remembered what happened that day. And I had just celebrated my 30th birthday. Then a few days later, that happened. Now, I know when September come around, everybody kind of like, ooh, you know, it's a day that triggers a lot of people. And you have to understand that, okay? But you guys, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. God bless. And God rest the souls of those who lost their lives on 9/11/2001. Deuces.